Savvy Scribes, I have to share a quick story. When my oldest was in preschool, they made their moms a thing that said, my mom's favorite thing to do is, and my son put grocery shopping. Nowadays, he knows that I actually hate grocery shopping. And with technology these days, I don't have to go in the store at all. It makes me so happy. I choose to spend my 168 hours a week in my business and with my family, not at the grocery store. If you want to join in on my hate for a grocery store, go to bit.ly/ssget10. And that's going to lead you to an application called Instacart. Instacart partners with the local grocery stores and delivers your groceries straight to your doorstep. You guys, shopping takes me 5 minutes to order stuff, and then you get to add favorites, so you don't have to add bread to your cart every single time. We know we have to get bread, right? So my driver lets me know if they have to do substitutions at the grocery store, and they deliver the groceries right to the door, and all I do is put them away. I am so grateful for this service. You guys, it's so cheap and so easy to use. If you go to bit.ly/ssget10, you'll get $10 off, and I'll get $10 off. Let's support the podcast and support you not going to the grocery store. Welcome to the Savvy Scribe Podcast, a podcast for healthcare professionals who want to build a profitable writing business. I'm Janine Kalbach, your host, and I am a mom to 2 boys. I'm a wife, a Great Dane lover, a registered nurse, and a content writing business owner. I am committed to help you moving your business forward because I've been there. I get it. I understand that life is busy and distracting, but many of us are burnt out at the bedside, working too many hours, and are ready for a change. Every week, I will deliver actionable advice and thought leaders in the industry to help you move along in your business. Welcome to the show. Hello, Savvy Scribes. Janine here today. Today I am here with Paul Murphy, who has a lot of information to share with us. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Janine, thanks so much. Great to be here with you today.
Thanks. I want to just jump right in. So first, just tell us a little bit of your background, maybe even how you and I connected. I think it was over on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And, what made you want to then have a conversation with me and even come on the show today?
Sure. So my background is that I'm originally trained as a paramedic many moons ago, and on the side, when I was a paramedic, I used to teach ACLS and PALS and NRP and things of that nature. And then going through that process, I said, well, if I'm going to be teaching this stuff and using my skills every day, let's start researching and writing about this just so I can keep fresh on the content. And so I started writing early on in my career while I was still a paramedic, and then I would convert some of my articles to presentations and would actually present those at some conferences as well, which was a neat opportunity. And then as I advanced through my career, I switched from the paramedic world to management and leadership roles, and during that time continued to write. And my focus went from paramedic clinical topics to leadership, technology, innovation, things like that, and have continued down that path. And so as we've been going through the process of writing and getting articles out there, I'm also active on LinkedIn, and actually saw you posting something where you said, hey, anyone out there want to be part of a group and learn more about writing and publishing and expanding things? And that's when you and I connected on LinkedIn. And then when you and I were corresponding on LinkedIn, you said, hey, would you be interested in a podcast? And I said, that sounds cool. Yeah, let's give it a shot. So here we are today.
Yeah, cool. Well, like I said, welcome again, because I know this is your first podcast and it's fun. And, it definitely gets content and our voices and just a different type of connection than just writing articles, and mm-hmm. reading articles. Right. So now that you told us just, your journey a little bit, when did you start writing?
So I started writing my senior year of college, and how this actually came to be is that my college roommate was already a paramedic, and he was finishing his bachelor's degree, same track as myself with emergency health services as our focus. And he said to me, "Hey, Paul, how about if we try getting published?" And I said, "Okay, sure." So he took the lead on it, and then I co-authored with him. We submitted to a pre-hospital journal and got the feedback, had some red lines, and I sat back and I said, "Well, that was pretty cool." We took a blank piece of paper, put some content on it, and submitted it, got some feedback, and all of a sudden we're getting published. And I was like, that is awesome. And I think for myself, without even realizing, I think that triggered my passion to continue writing, continue learning the creativity side, and just being up to speed with what's going on in the industry, and really just forcing my brain to keep working. Even though I was graduating from school and getting ready to work, it was still an opportunity for me to keep engaged mentally.
Oh, truly. And I think, well, first I have to make a joke that you guys had to be like the biggest nerds to be like, "Oh yeah, we're
Slightly.
gonna get published. We're so cool."
Yes,
everyone
slightly.
everyone else is doing, quite different things in their
Right.
dorm rooms.
Yeah, there's nerd alert. Nerd
Nerd
alert.
alert. So true, so true. But it is funny. I mean, because I think everybody listening who enjoys writing and thinks publishing is just so cool definitely understands where
Right.
you guys are coming from. I mean, we get it. We're all the same
It's
when it
that
comes to
whole
that.
world. Exactly.
So, what's your advice for new writers? Besides, if they're not in a college dorm room with somebody to take the lead on publishing, what is something that they could do to kind of know where to start?
From a new writer perspective, I would consider, from an author perspective, what are you really interested in and what do you want to write on? Because from my perspective, that makes it easier to actually do the research, to go out and to start putting the whole quote unquote paper or article together. And if there's a topic that you're interested in, that's cool. And then the other thing to consider is, where do you want to consider writing? Are you wanting to do a textbook chapter? Are you wanting to do an article for a journal? What industry are you in? If there's a publication within your industry, that would be a natural transition to try to get published there and to pursue that route. And perhaps as you go down this venture, you realize that suddenly, I don't want to write about work stuff. I want to be creative and do something different, like wellness or weaving or crafts and arts, things like that. So it's really finding out what's triggering you internally to even consider this, and then start pursuing that to find out what publications are out there. And then from there, actually, once you find a publication, you have to do some homework to figure out how you actually submit a query letter or a pitch to the publisher themselves. So that's where I would start.
Okay. How do you find that? How would you?
Right. So there's a couple different ways to figure out how to find these paths. As far as which journal or which magazine to write in, you can literally go to any store that has magazines or books and take a look there, and then find out who the publisher is. And then what I do when I'm looking to pitch to a publication I have written for, I go to their website. I look at the editor section, or how to contact us, and really read to what they are requesting of you. For example, you may have a publisher that says, we want a manuscript that's 550 words, no more, your bio and your website, put all of that in a Word document, don't make it a PDF and submit it to us. We'll get back to you within 2 weeks to see about feedback. So it's really you taking the initiative to find out what that publisher wants, specific criteria wise. The other thing to consider is, if you have a colleague or know someone who's actually writing, or there's a writing club in your town, go visit those individuals, talk to them, see how they're doing it, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If someone's already been successful reaching out to XYZ publication, go, offer to buy them a coffee, sit down, talk to them. And I've done that several times over the years, and some of the magazines I've reached out to have said, sure, we'd be interested, and some have said, no, thank you, not interested at this time. And unless if you don't try, you'll never know. So it's always worth doing your homework.
Oh, I like that. Don't try. If you don't try, you never know. I think a lot of people are at that afraid to launch kind of stage, and I keep telling everybody, just get out there. What's the worst that can happen? You can hear no, or you try again. And it's an ego killer, if you hear the word no, or you're trying to do this, and then you get the no.
Right.
And it's a nice lead into this next topic anyway, because I hate red lines, don't you? know you hate red lines.
Red lines can be challenging, yes.
And what we're
be.
talking about with that is that you submit something and then you get redlined, you get an editor writing back to you. So if you found that client to pitch to or write that query letter to, or you did have coffee with them, they're like, yeah, go ahead and send it over. Okay. And you send it and then you're like, I did it.
Right.
And then you get it sent back.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, go for it. Tell me what you do.
And so there's, for myself, when I'm doing this, regardless to whether it's an established journal I'm writing with or a new publication I'm considering, my perspective is if I submit an article, there's going to be one of three outcomes. First outcome is, hey, we're accepting your article as is and you're golden. And you're like, that is awesome. And you're like, hoo-hoo, happy dance.
Home run, yeah.
Right, exactly. Then there's the second one where you get an article back and you open up the document and you start scrolling and you see red. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have red. And there can be literally a lot of reviewers will do red lines through the Word document. And from my perspective, it's don't panic. You've gotten feedback. They haven't said no to you. So get ready to work with your editor on the red lines. Then the third option is where you get the reply back where it says, thanks for submitting, we're not interested. Feel free to revisit us again in the future, period. And you're like, oh, buzzkill. So it's really, you go from the one end of, hoo-hoo, I got published, everything was great, to the middle of red lines, I have some work to do, to the other side of the pendulum, which is, bummer, I got to try it again. And to your point there, the buzzkill thing, the momentum, go for it. Try it again. Perhaps you resubmit to the same publication. Perhaps you try a different publication. Just keep moving forward.
Or yeah, you reword it or you redo it or you ask them, go back at them. I'm sorry you weren't interested in this. Is there something that you're currently looking for or something in your content calendar this year that you guys, even if it's 6 months from then, you still have an option.
Right.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I think all of us, I think it's that criticism, even as a new healthcare provider out in that clinical world, you get feedback, you get criticism, and it's how you take it. Of course, it's a buzzkill. Like when you're sitting by yourself, reading through what they wrote, and you're like, oh man.
Right.
But just that's why editors are there to work with you to make it better. And it's always, it hurts your feelings a little bit, but you gotta get through it.
Exactly. Yep. And I've been fortunate because through the writing that I've been doing, majority of the editors I've been working with have been awesome. And the other thing that came to me just now is, even if you get red lines and you still get published, then there's a next layer of, you get published, your article's out there. A reader may send a letter to the editor requesting clarification or additional information. And my take is you just have to be open to the possibility of getting that feedback from the audience. Because ultimately, you don't know who's going to be reading your work. And, people may have feedback for you and things like that. And it's one of those things similar to like with the red lines. Be honest, be open, be fair. And same thing with responding to letters to the editors, things like that. Just be aware of your audience and thank them for reaching out and taking down that path.
Well, that's true. That's true. And I think, too, red lines doesn't mean you're a bad writer. And, I think it just takes time. The more you write, the better you're going to be at it. That's one thing. A lot of new writers to the field that only have that healthcare background, they say to me, like, Janine, how can I improve my writing? How can I be better? I'm not a journalist. I'm not an English major. And my advice is just keep writing. Just keep writing, and it's going to get better. The more you read it, I look back at stuff that I started out with, and I look at it now, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm more just like, wow, I have learned a lot. I have grown, and I have learned a lot in writing.
Exactly. And I think you take it as well, where if you're starting off and you're writing and you're not sure, if you're working on an article for a specific journal, look through some of the articles that are already on that journal's website or their printed magazine, because you'll get a feel for what they're looking at from who they've already published. And then that will make it actually easier for you to get in the flow. And if you find that you're struggling and you're like, this just isn't my flow, maybe you switch to a different journal or something of that nature. Always keeping your options open and being flexible to the feedback.
And I always say there's always enough work out there.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of stuff out there that people, especially being on the outside of not being in the journalism world, you don't even realize how much content people are consuming every single day.
Exactly.
So that being said, there is a lot of stuff out there. Where do you find your clients mostly?
Most of the clients that I'm finding now are involved in healthcare, a lot of the management side of things, and the publications that I've been in recently are open to receiving queries and pitches from authors and that path. One interesting element was last year, a publisher actually reached out to me directly asking for some work to be contributed there as well. And so it's a combination of me looking, and then also as you get your name out there, you may be contacted by other publishers who are saying, hey, we would like to work with you on that. And for the folks who may be going to conferences and speaking at conferences, that is a golden opportunity as well to have potential leads because they see you or hear you speak at a conference, and it may turn around to, hey, would you be interested in publishing, and going down that path. One of the growth challenges I have for myself going forward is getting out of the quote unquote just healthcare aspect of things and doing some things that are more on a personal fun basis versus always something work related. And so through that experience, I'm actually searching for options and publications that are just a little more generic, broad-based versus focused on the healthcare. So those are the different avenues that I take.
What are you thinking? What kind of fun stuff were you interested in?
So the fun stuff, it's transitions in life and some things you may encounter and how you get through it. And so I've actually recently pitched an article to a magazine that describes some experiences as being in corporate America and having been through layoffs and what processes I went through to survive the layoff, where perhaps you get a divorce and how do you survive the divorce and how do you go about doing that? Because part of it for myself with writing is sharing the experiences and saying to other individuals through articles saying, hey, here's some tools that work for me. Maybe you can consider these as well. And not so much bragging versus just this is real life. This is how it happens. And here you go forward.
Well, you never know, even in that type of writing, you never know who you can help.
Exactly.
And that's what it's about. You know, you're still in that healthcare. You're still a helper. You're still a caregiver.
Right. Exactly.
It's a circle of life. It just keeps coming around and coming around.
Very true.
So tell me, Paul, what's some of the best advice you've either been given or you want to give on someone who's just maybe starting out in a business or looking to grow?
It's live, my first course. I'm so excited to tell you guys that my first course, Plan, Create, Launch, Land, and Grow Your Health Writing Business, is now live. If you head on over to growthlab.thesavvyscribepodcast.com, it's available to purchase right now. Jump on in. Everybody is saying so many wonderful things, and I can't wait for you to be a part of it.
Sure, and I'll focus on the creativity side with the writing. And I've had an LLC set up for over a decade. And part of the reason for this was advice I was given on is you're going to start producing articles, things like that. And you want to, from a business perspective, protect your house and keep your business separate. So if something happens, they can go after your company, but not your house. So one is setting up yourself officially within whatever state you live, actually setting up a company, an LLC, what have you. And you're going to need to do this anyways once you start getting money coming in from payments, things like that, and accounting and all that jazz. So that's one avenue I would definitely take early on. The second piece of advice that was given to me several years ago, to this day, I truly appreciate, is a mentor of mine once said to me, you know, Paul, it's always easier to critique versus create. And he looked at me and said, keep creating. And he knew I was writing. He's like, just continue on. It's great. People are going to send letters to editors, you're going to get Redlines. Just continue down that path because it's the creative side is awesome. Anybody can critique, but it takes that extra effort to actually produce something. So I think those are two factors I would consider as well.
No, that's good. And even, you say critique and create, not even just create, but write. Writing's a gift, and people don't even realize how hard it is for some people to just create something on a blank page.
Exactly.
And to me, it's not hard. It's easy to write down the words. Mm-hmm. It's sometimes harder to then go back and edit them and put them in a structured manner and stuff like that. But a lot of people can't even do that first step of getting it out of their head.
Right. No, and I would agree. And I'd also say that, especially when you're starting off, my experience is it's easier to cut back versus adding in. So if you are finding that you're writing and your free flow of thoughts and you're doing your research and you're like, holy cow, there's a lot of stuff here. Well, it's easier to cut back on content than it is where you're like, oh, I have to build this up to get to X number of words per the editor's request, things like that. So it's a mindset. And I think even with some of the folks who I've met over the years who are also writers, to your point, you have to be able to put ink on paper to make this happen. And a good friend of mine is publishing books. And he says to me, Paul, it's tough because I have to hit X number of books per month, et cetera, and going down that path. He goes, but I love it. It's awesome. And it's just so energizing. And I think he and I both thrive in that aspect of it. So from a true, quote, nerd perspective, there you have it.
It's true. It's true. I think, too, you mentioned joining a writer group in your area, or even just like a small business group in your area. Another person I had on the podcast, Sharon Holler, she was in episode 39 of our show, and she says the same thing. It's almost like how she got a lot of clients and how she really learned how to do a lot of things in her own business. And I think you relate a lot to that. And honestly, myself, I haven't even done that. And I'm thinking, maybe this year I need to do that. I need to break out of my, house and go,
sure,
and go do that.
Right.
Because I think it's helpful.
Absolutely. And I think also when you go out, and even if it's not a writing group, just even networking events and things of that nature, just interactions you have with people can trigger new ideas. And I was talking to a colleague of mine the other day about writing, and he's like, he says to me, you've got some nice articles out there. And I said, yeah, I'm working on a couple more. He goes, where are you getting all your content from? I said, a lot of this is just through experiences, whether it be past jobs or future things going on here and what's coming down the pike in the future, and writing about it and just being creative and going from that. And not everyone wants to do that. I get it. But for those of us who find that to be passionate, it makes life easier. And going to even just a networking session or at a party and someone tells a story, it's like, how can I spin this and write about it? Just to go from there.
No, that's a good idea. And I think even this year for my podcast, I was thinking, how am I going to have an episode a week for all these, this whole year? And it's actually been very easy because I've gone off of questions and things that I've struggled with, just growing my own business. And yeah, that's going to be so helpful to just hear other people's stories and how to spin it in a way to make it purposeful for your audience or whoever you're writing for.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, great. Well, how can people find you, Paul, if they want to connect with you?
I'm on LinkedIn, and you can look up Paul Murphy, and you can find me there. And I have a consulting website as well, which is paulmurphyconsulting.com. And in that page, there's a LinkedIn button as well as a PDF file that lists the publications I've done over the years. And those are probably the two easiest ways to connect with me. And I'm always open to making new connections and going from there.
Sweet. Awesome. And I think it's cool that you're a guy. I've only had one other guy on my show, and it's my friend Tony. It's so cool. Thanks for joining us today.
It's all good. It's all good. I've enjoyed it. No, this has been a pleasure. And the behind the scenes that you and I have done has been a lot of fun as well, as far as getting materials together for it today.
Oh yeah, it's always fun. It's always fun.
It's been good. Definitely.
I actually enjoy this so much. It's crazy. I didn't realize I would ever enjoy something like podcasting or interviewing, but my gosh, I love it. I love hearing other people's stories and learning from other people and vice versa, just connecting.
Exactly.
So I always ask all my guests, what are 3 things that people may not know about you?
Okay, the 3 things that people may not know about me. I'm left-handed.
Did you know that most healthcare providers are left-handed?
No, I had no idea.
See,
actually.
now you know. I'm left-handed too, so I know all this left-handed. I know all these left-handed things that are pointless knowledge.
That is awesome. That is so funny. That's classic. The next one, people will likely think I'm insane, but I have been habitual, and I wake up around 4 o'clock every morning, Monday through Friday, to work out before the day starts. And I've just been doing this as a habit because I want to work out. And once the day gets going for me, by the time it gets to the afternoon, evening, I'm like, nope, no more. I'm toast. So getting up super early to work out is one of them. And then the last
Wait, hold on. Before you go to the last one,
yeah.
I need some advice on this because I was doing this so well. And I'll tell you, it was until the time change here in Ohio and things just got darker earlier and it's so dark and cold in the morning that I can't do it again. I got to get back at it.
Right?
So what is your advice? Get up 15 minutes earlier? What are you gonna do?
Do what you got. You're gonna have to play with it. So yeah, I get up 15 minutes earlier, and I cheat because when I actually have some stuff in my basement, so I go literally from my bedroom down to my basement. I don't have to get in the car and drive to the gym. I'm literally going from my bedroom down to my basement to work out. And so for me, I just force myself up and go. And I can tell on days where I don't work out or something happens and I'm delayed, I can completely tell. And if I have a cold or something and I miss a few days, I can completely tell on a variety of levels. And yes, I was up this morning at 4 working out before this. So just, yeah.
What time do you go to bed at night?
Between 9 and 10.
Okay. Yeah.
Gotta get some sleep.
No, that's good. That's good. Do you, now see, I can't say like, oh, I have to drive so far to the gym. My gym is literally like, I could walk to it. It's like 5 minutes away. I don't walk to it. I could, but I don't. Right. So I drive to it. And
that works.
I do walk in summer, or I'll run there, but not when it's 10 degrees. But
so it's just like writing in the gym. You have to at least show up to make it happen.
You do. You got to show up. And I always preach to everybody, try and work in the morning. That's actually my best time to think is that early morning too. Right. But gosh, working out is always so tough for me. But I do feel good when I do it. It's so true.
It's the pain of getting there and making it happen.
Yes. Well, you're inspiring me. I'm doing it. I'm going to start.
There you go.
What's today? Today's Thursday. I'm going to start Monday. No.
All right, we'll hold you to this. I'll be sending you an email to see, okay, so I'm actually
how to coach
this or not. Okay.
It is true. See, keep me accountable to it. I'll do it. Because
awesome.
I'm a little competitive. So I'm going to be like, okay.
Nice.
All right, what's the third one?
Third one. So I'm passionate about inline skating with the addition of trekking poles. And for the listeners, like, what are you talking about? So I have inline skates I use, but then I have the metal hiking poles that you can use. I put a rubber tip on the bottom, and I go to a local park, and essentially I almost look like I'm cross-country skiing, but I'm on inline skates with poles. And why would he ever even consider this? A family friend 15, 20 years ago introduced me to this thing, and the workout is awesome. It's super fast. And then the downsides of this is when something goes wrong when you're dealing with inline skates and poles, it can get really complicated really quickly, especially if there's pedestrians around or bikes, or people not paying attention with dog leashes going in front of you. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and between that and just working out and feel great afterwards, and it is a massive cardio workout, and it's a lot of core, but I have a blast.
How do you not kill yourself?
You pace yourself 100%, and that's the thing. I last about a half hour. You don't have to go. I don't go full tilt the entire time, and the park that I use locally has a couple of hills actually in it as well. So going up the hills, you're climbing up the hill. Coming down the hill, I burn through brakes on my heels like there's no tomorrow.
Holy cow!
It's a lot of fun, and it's one of those aspects where there's a few other people in the park that do similar type of activities as well. But for me, it's really just the endorphin rush of that kind of workout, and burning off a bunch of calories and just having fun doing it. And some people are like, "You're nuts," and other people are like, "That's kind of cool. Gotta try it." And
I think a little of both. I think you're nuts, but I think it's freaking cool.
I've been doing it for years, so yeah, it's kind of ingrained in me.
So, what do you do in your basement? Do you just lift weights in the morning? Do you do cardio?
So I do a little cardio. So I've got a little Nordic machine there. Just you have little ropes on and you can ski back and forth. And then I have a little elliptical as well. And I did not buy all this brand new. I'm that frugal healthcare provider who went to Craigslist to get things that I could do. Yes, I went that route.
You don't need a lot.
No, you don't. Just enough to get things in. So yeah, and I have little routines that I use in the morning, and it just helps balance it out. And you get so focused on work and business and everything else. It's just nice for me to get a break in the morning and just start fresh for the day and go from there.
I think that's a great way to do it. That's a great way.
Sure.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks, Paul, for being part of the show today. You guys, I will put the show notes of his contact stuff, and I hope you guys got a lot out of this today. I did. So thank you.
No, thank you.
We'll definitely have you back.
It's good stuff. No, I appreciate it. Hopefully the folks listening are saying this guy is crazy, but hopefully they get something out of it. So thanks so much for the opportunity. It's been awesome.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everybody, and go get your
That's
right
a wrap
on.
for today's episode of The Savvy Scribe. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, we'd love for you to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. Until next time.